Okay, have you ever noticed this? Some people on your team, they're not the big stars. They don't have these amazing killer KPIs. But the second they leave, everything just seems to fall apart. Well, today we're going to dive into how to find and hire these two crucial and often invisible roles, the Meerkats and the Otters.
I mean, this is the big mystery, right? It's not your top performer who walks out the door, but all of a sudden the team just feels heavier, slower, more fragile. So why does that happen? It's because you've lost either your sentinel or your social glue, and honestly, sometimes you don't even realize you needed one until they're already gone.
So let's just break down what we're talking about here. On one side, you've got the Meerkat. This is your sentinel. They are constantly scanning the horizon, looking for those weak signals, those little tensions and small risks before they explode into massive problems. And on the other side, you've got the Otter. They're the social glue. They're the ones weaving the human fabric of the team together, keeping everyone connected and helping the whole group move forward when things get tough.
All right, so you're thinking, okay, I need one of these, but hold on. Before you even think about writing a job description, we have to start at step 0, and that is clearly defining the problem you're actually hiring them to solve. This is not about just hiring a nice person. This is a totally strategic move.
And I want you to really think about this for your own team. Are your projects constantly hitting roadblocks that nobody saw coming? Yeah, that sounds like a Meerkat problem. Is team morale just tanking during a big, messy transformation? You might have an otter-shaped hole in your organization. See, if you can't name the pain, you're either going to underuse them or worse, just overload them with every soft task you can think of.
So the goal here is to boil it all down to one single, powerful mission statement. For a Meerkat, that mission could be something like monitoring a high-stress team for early signals of burnout. For an Otter, it might be turning a heavy corporate change into something people can actually digest and move with. Or, for a huge overhaul, you might actually need the duo. One person focused on risk, the other on human connection.
Okay, now let's talk about how this mission translates into the actual job ad. Once you know exactly what your mission is, you can write a description that speaks directly to these unique people. The whole goal, really, is to make a real Meerkat or Otter read it and just think, wow, finally, someone actually gets what I do.
We've all seen these ads, right? They're so vague they could apply to pretty much any office job on the planet. This kind of language, it's like a magnet for generic candidates, and it's completely invisible to the specialized people you're actually looking for. You have to be way, way more specific. Now this is the kind of language that speaks directly to a Meerkat's soul. It validates their natural tendency to pause, to question, to notice the little things that just feel out of place. It frames their caution not as being a blocker, but as a strategic asset. A true Meerkat is going to feel so seen by this.
And for the Otter, the language is just as specific. Look, this isn't about being a people person. It's about the very specific skill of emotional translation. It acknowledges their ability to use humor and empathy and creativity to get a team unstuck when they're frozen by fear or confusion. They'll read this and realize you value their informal work as a real, tangible skill.
Okay, so you've written the perfect ad. Now, where do you actually find these people? Well, the good news is they are often hiding in plain sight, in roles where their natural instincts are already being put to use, every single day.
So for Meerkats, you're going to want to look in departments like quality, risk, and safety. I mean, these are people whose entire job is to notice anomalies. So search for keywords on the resumes like root cause, escalation, and early warning. You're looking for the folks who are already trained to see what everyone else misses.
Otters, on the other hand, they often thrive in roles that are all about human connection. Think about trainers, facilitators, community managers, maybe even people from hospitality backgrounds. You want to look for keywords like workshops, community building, and employee engagement. Basically, you're looking for evidence that they are the person that everyone naturally goes to for support.
Now for the really crucial part, the interview. You've found the promising candidate, but how do you actually confirm they have these instincts for real? You've got to move beyond those standard questions and start testing for their core behaviors.
This right here, this is the classic Meerkat test. And don't you dare let them get away with a vague answer. You need to know what they specifically noticed, what concrete actions they took, and what happened next. This one question separates the casual warriors from the true sentinels.
So, when they respond, here's what you're listening for. Did they see a specific data point that was off, or did they just have a bad feeling? Did they actually take initiative and escalate the issue, or did they just complain about it? A real Meerkat brings data and solutions, not just problems.
They're honest, for sure, but they aren't trying to burn the building down.
And for the otter, you need to probe for their methods. And I really want to stress that word, exactly. What did you do? It's way too easy to just say, oh, I supported the team. A true otter will tell you about the informal coffee chats they organized, or the simple visual guide they created, or maybe the small ritual they started just to keep morale up. And again, you're listening for those tangible, concrete actions. Can they read the emotional state of a room accurately? And this is critical. Do they have healthy boundaries? Otters can so easily become these emotional sponges and just burn out. You need someone who knows how to help without taking on everyone else's problems as their own.
Now, if you're hiring for a duo, give them a little case study. Something like, we're rolling out a new software tool and trust is really low. The Meerkat should immediately start talking about risk assessment and setting up feedback channels. The otter should be focused on communication, creating safe spaces for questions, and planning small, human-centric actions. You want to see how they think as a complementary pair.
So you did it. You've hired them. But listen, the work is not done. Onboarding is absolutely, positively critical. If you get this part wrong, you'll turn your amazing meerkat into a frustrated prophet that nobody listens to, and your otter into an exhausted mascot.
This four-step plan, it builds a really strong foundation for them. First, give them a written mandate. Clarity is their best friend. Second, give them a map of allies. Tell them who in the organization will actually listen and act. Third, start them small. Give them one team or one project to focus on for 90 days so they can score an early win. And finally, create a ritual, a regular meeting where their insights are officially heard and actually translated into action.
So let's bring this all together. Hiring meerkats and otters isn't about adding some nice-to-have cultural perk. No, this is about building a truly resilient, adaptable organization. This is a core strategic advantage. Just think about your own workplace right now. Where are the blind spots? In which projects or teams is nobody really scanning the horizon for those early warning signs of trouble? And what about the human side of things? Where is that social fabric starting to fray because nobody has the official job, or even just the time, to actively take care of the emotional climate and the connections between your people?
And this brings us to the final, and I think most essential question. For way too long, our organizations have just relied on the goodwill of informal meerkats and otters, basically asking them to do this vital, emotional, and observational work for free. So, are you ready to stop that? Are you ready to make it a formal, respected, and strategic part of how you design your team? Because that is how you build a team that doesn't just survive, but one that truly thrives.